morning, or good afternoon. Welcome. How is everybody? Long time no see. Thanks for coming by, checking out what's going on here at the Morning Thunder. Quick update on the surgery bits. Had the hip replaced. You should be seeing somewhere here a picture of what the incision looks like now. 3 weeks after that surgery, I had to have a tooth that was communicating, had a big hole going down into the bone, and could have infected my new hip. Had to have that tooth surgically removed. They cut my gum, removed that big back bottom molar in pieces. Not a highly recommended experience if you can avoid it. Anyway, there won't be any pictures of that because who wants to look inside my mouth after all? Today, I wanted to, having caught you up with that, I would also like to say I'm feeling much more calm and comfortable. After there was no outbreak of violence when the violence I expected when Trump was finally taken to trial. I expected little pockets of violence all over the place. The neighbor who threatened to kill me, who's half a mile away, and my nearest neighbor to the north, didn't show up here with a bunch of guys looking to kill me. So I'm calming down a bit now. I'm feeling much more centered, and like maybe people are going to be sane enough to not want to give up their present pleasant lives in order to make huge protest over the justice system in our country doing what it's supposed to do and holding people accountable no matter what office of government they may have been holding in the past. So that really calms me down and gives me a much deeper sense of confidence in our system and in my fellow citizens. It's great. So there's that update. So if I seem different that way, that's why. My fears in that regard have been somewhat appeased and set aside, so that's much nicer place to be, much nicer headspace. Now, today I wanted to try and get back on track. Got a hole in my mouth and a healed incision in my leg, but and I'm tapering down now off the Percocet, down from 30 milligrams a day right after the surgery to 20 milligrams a day for the last couple of weeks, except for 2 days right after they did the oral surgery. I had to go back up to, I think it was 25 or 30. It was very painful after my mouth woke up. Anyway, having never had a cavity in my life until Lexapro withdrawals in 2021 caused me to grind my teeth and crack some of them in my attempts at sleeping. I'm just not used to the whole dental thing and people putting instruments in my mouth and clinking around. And anyway, so I've always invited you folks to please, and I still do, please, 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 if you've read Rise in Lucidity and Master Anxiety, or if you haven't, if you have any questions at all, I'm happy to try to answer them for you individually in videos, and that's what I'm doing today. My dear friend Eulene has written me a question or two, and it's she says, I thought about you when I watched a video on YouTube. We are small. For me, it really makes everything seem so insignificant. It left me wondering, what difference can anything or anyone have on this planet or galaxy? Why all the suffering? Why come here? Does any of it really mean anything? Does consciousness really stay with us eternally? When you feel better, maybe we can discuss it further. take care of yourself. I care about you. Well, I care about you too. I care about all of you. And thank you for the question. There's a little bit of a misperception I see right away that helps, it's orientation. These great truths hide in fine distinctions. And consciousness does not stay with us. No, you are consciousness. We are consciousness itself in varying degrees of being conscious of ourself as consciousness. So you can't lose what you are. So yes, your consciousness is eternal. So yeah, physically we are small, but as consciousness, we are all limitless, profound, powerful. We create all of this jointly, and we create individually our subjective experience. This happens in a unique way. It's not the way people think. We don't really attract outcomes. We tunnel into them with our self-talk. So my recent experience is a perfect example. Because I have entertained a lot of self-talk that's been very fearful for the last few years, anticipating that Trump might rise to power again and he might do all these miscellaneous horrible things, or cause us, or incite us, or inspire us with his words to do miscellaneous terrible things to each other. I, in focusing on that sort of self-talk, tunneled into an experience. That is, I didn't attract the experience to myself. I fell into the experience of all that scary self-talk. This is the fall that is spoken of in the various scriptures, the fall. The fall is from the awareness of truth, the presence of truth, into dreams of diversity, into dreams of the 10,000 things. We fall into dreams of separation by, just as when we fall asleep, we fall into dreams. We fall into dreams that we have as a waking subjective experience, so that we have an experience of fear even when the fearful things we're anticipating are not present. We're experiencing them as though they were present, because our body begins to react to our thoughts as though they were real and present. So this is how we attract outcomes. We really project those outcomes by creating them as our subjective experience with our self-talk, with our expectations. Michael, my guide, has often said to me, and he started it with a question, he often questions me, "My Colleen," he said, "why do you look for what you do not will to find? Have I not told you that what you look for, you are telling the universe you expect, and the universe delivers those expectations?" So in this way, we create for ourselves by projecting, projection making our subjective experience. We project our expectations and fears by focusing on, or perseverating on, that's a better way to put it, by perseverating on most frequently fearful expectations. So this is how we have a profound impact of which we are not usually conscious. That is, we are not lucid in the dream we're creating for ourselves, the subjective dream. When we do catch ourselves creating precisely what we do not want by our self-talk and expectations, by looking for what we do not want to find, when we catch ourselves doing this, we are, however briefly, lucid in the dream of the world. So you are profoundly powerful in creating your own experience, your subjective experience. Let me try to be very clear here. And each one of us being part of the collective, because the truth is unity, and everything else is just our projected dreams. So, inasmuch as we are, the truth is unity, and this all is one consciousness having dreams of separation into many lives, many personalities, many venues, etc. We're very capable of infecting the collective with our fear or with our love. Love always answers before fear. Love answers first, but fear is louder. Fear is louder because our body amplifies our fearful self-talk. So when you catch yourself amplifying, projecting fearful expectations and using fearful self-talk to do that, stop. Stop and consider the alternative, happy, hopeful, loving self-talk with which you can consciously, intentionally replace the fearful self-talk. In this way, you create a more positive subjective experience, and you infect the collective of which you are an integral part with that instead of with fear. It's very important we all do this now, that we all think charitably and kindly not only of ourselves but of each other, especially those who think they are our adversaries or enemies. Christ counseled us to do this. Jesus counseled us to do this, to think charitably, to pray for those who considered themselves our adversaries and enemies. And I recommend it too, because in this way we infect the collective with peace, with love, with calm, and we change our subjective experience so that we begin projecting something that is much more helpful to all of us, to ourselves individually and to the entire cosmos, but most importantly to our world, which needs that kind of healthy, helpful vibration now. So please, please, I beg you, practice thinking charitably, lovingly, forgivingly, even towards those who scare you, especially towards those who scare you, especially towards those who anger you. And in this way, you, consciousness itself, conscious of itself, have a huge impact. Although it takes, in this venue, a bit of time for that new projection to work its way out into what we consider our exterior objective experience. One of my kitties is not well and is having to be put in somewhat confined accommodations. Please excuse him as he begs to be released. Okay, yes, we're small, but we are consciousness itself, conscious of itself when we're lucid. If you're not conscious of what you're creating, you are not lucid in the dream of the world. If you're not observing your self-talk, you have no free will. You can't have free will if your mind, full of fear and anger, is running on autopilot, constantly macerating, or I should say masticating, maybe both of them works, constantly chewing on this unhealthy self-talk. And you're creating for yourself unpleasant experiences, and you're unconscious of the fact that you're the one creating it. So you want lucidity. So all the other spiritual helpers are teaching this. Most of them are teaching the same thing using different words. I call it lucidity. But they're missing one crucial point. The point is not to just change the exterior world experience of the collective. The point is to become aware of yourself as consciousness itself. And so, because this is the door to your godly estate, this is how you access the power of your divinity, your power to manifest the experience of peace, prosperity for yourself, for everyone. This is how we infect the collective, and this is where our power lies. Yes, life seems futile because it is set up to keep us very, very busy, distracted with our attention outside, instead of some of it being reserved for inside, so that we can observe our self-talk and our expectations, creating the experiences we do not want. You see, attention is a limited resource, and these days there are so many pulls on our attention. Rarely do we get a chance to actually catch ourselves creating what we don't want. And so we naturally never learn to wield the power of our affirmations and our expectations to project into subjective and objective experience what we do want. This is why I highly recommend the technique I teach in my book, Rise in Lucidity and Master Anxiety. I call it imagifestation, because you are consciously choosing to focus your attention and create an experience for yourself of something that you richly enjoy and very much want. When you use imagifestation in this way at first, it's very hard to visualize, hear, see, smell, taste an environment that you're creating, that you're projecting. But as you practice it, not only does your attention become more sharply focusable, it's a skill you learn to wield, but it also becomes bigger. You become much more capable of manifesting sensation. And this is very important when you want to use this skill, which is your power, to create a happier, more fulfilling subjective experience for yourself, and to infect the collective consciousness with those charitable, happy thoughts that we all want to feel from and for each other. Why all the suffering? Well, because people refuse to put in the effort to learn to wield their wills by imagifesting and projecting what you do want. So you don't do that, and so the only time you have any opportunity to see this power in action is to catch yourself creating what you don't want and causing your suffering. So the world is not designed to make you happy. The world is designed to make you conscious so that you can make yourself happy, so that we can make the world the place we all want it to be. So it's just like when you're having a really bad dream, when you're sleeping in your bed. You won't become aware a lot of times, most times, that you're dreaming while you're having a pleasant dream. There's no incentive to wake up. So suffering is redeemed in that it causes you to pay attention, to wake up, to become lucid, and to see, to catch your mind perseverating on negative things that make you unhappy and result in an unhappy, unfulfilled, subjective experience that then is also infecting the collective consciousness of which you are inescapably a part. Why come here? To learn to wield your will. You wield your will to make the dream go the way we all want it to go. You come here to learn to wield your will, to focus your attention, to manifest and create what it is you want in your heart of hearts in a state of adversity. There's so much adversity here, so much apparent reason to be frightened and angry, to be offended, to be grieved, and to hold on to those grievances, to nurse the grievances, which are really poison that you're drinking daily while you wait for it to kill the people with whom you have the grievances. So this is why we come here. It's like a weight room. You go to the weight room where there is resistance that you can use to make your muscles stronger. You push against that adversity, that resistance to your will. You want to lift that weight. It is your will to lift that weight and to be strong. And this is how you make your body stronger. This venue is designed to make your will stronger, to make your awareness of yourself as consciousness your experience. That experience is the experience of your godly estate, of your empowerment. You can't do that if all you're focused on is creating abundance for yourself and using laws of attraction and stuff like that. You're waiting when you're attracting. You're still waiting. There's no power in you. You're waiting. You're waiting on the environment to make you happy. In manifestation and learning to wield your will and focus your attention is not waiting. This is the act of a godling learning to wield their will. So that's why we come here, because we can't experience in spirit outside of physicality while we're discarnate. We can't experience resistance because we're God. We are godlings. We are all complete, like holographic representations of the Godhead in each one of us. It's all there, all the power, every bit of it, all the access is in each one of us. But no one wants to practice a manifesting. They think it's too hard. And so they go on unconsciously creating for themselves, without lucidity, what they do not want. And I'm trying to tell you, yeah, at first, a manifesting is hard. That's the point. There's resistance. It makes you stronger. It makes you more aware of what you are. A godling. Consciousness itself. Conscious of itself. And that is the most important thing. While you are wielding your will, while you are creating what you do want, subjectively and objectively. The most important thing is not the results, but to be aware of yourself as the creator of those results. Okay? So does it really mean anything? Well, no. It means what you say it means for you. The labels you apply to any situation create your experience of that situation. If you add no labels to anything, if you don't add self-talk to any situation, the situation itself is just as it is. It is as it is. There's great peace to be found in between the occurrences, in the stillness of just being the observer, not adding any self-talk to whatever's going on. So, no, there's no inherent meaning to any of it, because we are the God, we are the consciousness that created it for the sake of experiencing and learning to become lucid and to wield our wills in charitableness, in love, while we're experiencing what are considered adverse conditions. That's the meaning. The meaning that you get out of it is the meaning you apply to it, because you're God. I really hope that answered your questions, Eulene. If you can get this, you can learn to choose what you feel at any moment. When people that I love pass, when animals that I love pass, I know where they're going. I know where they've gone. I know they're blissfully happy. And so while there is some sadness and I miss them, meaning I notice they're not physically here, I still see them in mind space. I hear them in mind space. Sometimes I smell them in mind space. And they can't be taken from me. Death can't take from you anything you love or anyone you love. The concept of loss to a godling that knows what it is, knows itself as consciousness itself, the concept of loss is meaningless. And so you begin to say to yourself, as grief arises, because you've told yourself some unhappy story about that loved one's passing, you change the story you tell yourself. You focus your attention on all the tales you've heard from empty ears that reassure us that death is just a transition to a much more comfortable state where there is no adversity to press against anymore. And you say to yourself, why should I choose to be unhappy? Why should I choose to grieve? Why should I choose to be angry? Why should I choose to fear? If you're conscious, if you're lucid, you have that ability. If you are in identification with the self-talk, the beliefs and the feelings going on in your head as a result of that self-talk, if that's who you think you are, that becomes the totality of your experience. You fall into that dream of loss, of separation, of cruelty, of suffering, of adversity. If you regard it all as the gym, the weight room you came into to learn this specific set of skills I'm trying to give to you, none of that do you choose to do anymore. You choose to assign other meanings. And I hope you all will please check out Rise. Watch this video a few times. Get the ideas more into your perspective so that you can shift, because it takes some time, some multiple exposures before you begin to understand, put it all together completely so you can work with it, so that you can wield your will and your power. Please like this video. If you see it of any use to you at all, please like it. Please subscribe and hit the little notification bell so that you'll know when I do another video. Please ask me any questions you have in the comments. I love the questions because they show me where understanding is not perfect, and they give me an opportunity to address it directly. Like the fundamental misunderstanding here is consciousness as a thing that continues after the thing that you are dies. The thing that you are cannot die. You are the consciousness. And so you see, when you ask a question, it gives me a chance to reorient your perspective so that you can better understand. The main problem here is misapprehension about what we are. Once you realize, fully understand, completely have an experience of what you truly are, everything else kind of automatically starts to make sense. So what you need is a fundamental reorientation on that level. And when you ask me questions in the comments or send an email to me, which you can send them to me at michaelenemoore@crackedpotpublications.com or michaelenemoore@gmail.com. When you ask me questions, it gives me a chance to directly address where you may be making fundamental errors in your perceptions of what you are and the way this all works, so that I can help you make adjustments that will allow you to access your free will and your ability to choose your own experience and to choose the way your subjective experience infects the entirety of the consciousness of which you are an inescapable part. Thank you again for coming by. I really do love you all. Bye-bye for now. Where did I